Good morning.
All right, we're starting.
Okay. I'd like to call the meeting to order, 10:05. Pam, would you like to do the invocation, please?
Dear Heavenly Father, please join us today, guide us, give us your wisdom, help us take care of the seniors in our community. Look after each and every one of our board members. Help us to make wise choices. Be with us as we leave, be with us throughout the whole meeting, be with those that are in the audience. We just ask that you reside with us today during our meeting and bless us as the week may be a blessing to others. Thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Rise for the pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Director Roland Lynch. Here. Director Pam McKinnon.
Here.
President Phil Potter.
Here.
President, Vice President Dolores Schlicker.
Here.
Secretary Treasurer Robert Turek, present. Director Fairman Bachhorst. Present. Member at Large Commissioner Carolyn Brumman.
Here.
And I'll put it just, it's a, depending on when we make it official, Director Mike Shepanowski is not attending, but it's an excused absence.
We have an approval of the agenda.
I'm also to approve the agenda.
Yeah, I would like to add to the agenda, the sale of the property in Harrisville, under unfinished business. I'll make a motion to put that sale of the property in Harrisville.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
I,
Motion carried. Okay. You have the minutes in front of you from the November meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from November.
I'll second.
Is it motion by Buchanan, seconded by Schlicker? Do you have any discussion? We'll vote on it. All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Motion passed. Public comment, 2 minutes per person. Please give your name and township if you'd like to address the board. Nobody? Okay, that's, okay, we must be doing something right. All right. Presentations, Andy Shaw, our developer construction manager.
Thank you, President. Is that on?
No.
can't hear
Good. Okay. All right. Well, I'd like to start with the residential, senior housing. So at this time, we have all 8 foundations and footings are in. We have 5 homes that are constructed and have the windows, the roof, and the front door, side door. So they're basically fully enclosed. We have 3 that have the floors on them and we put the tarp over it. So with the snow, we just have to shovel the snow when we're gonna get on it. And so 3 more yet to frame. And then on the housing, we're starting the soffit and the trim. So we put a little piece at the bottom of the foundation, a little flashing, and then we do the soffit around the top. and that will enable us to start putting the siding on. We have the siding on site for house number 2. We're gonna go through, make sure it all looks really pretty and see if we need to make any adjustments, but then we'll keep going on with that. On the inside, we made a little change to the bathroom. They're all senior friendly, and it's kind of a continuum of how close we are to ADA. And our recent change to the bathroom, largely prompted by John Jagalewski, who has really good experience personally at his house with these facts, helped us make even a better bathroom. So we got that situated, and that couple little wall changes, and that's finished. So we've our plumber is pulling his permit, our heating and cooling contractor is pulling his permit, and the electrician is pulling his permit. So we're on our way on the first house on 2, senior house number 2. It just happened, that's how it flowed. And we're gonna be working, getting those mechanicals in place. We'll get that inspection. We've got insulation coming in February. And so we're gonna really kind of have that be the test house, make sure that everything works out really nicely. And then we've got the kitchen coming for our house 2. And then once we're happy, always make some kind of little adjustments. It seems like, once you're into that thing, so then those will flow to the rest of the house. So timing wise, we'll really have no problem getting those done really far ahead of our deadline. We did a lot of backfilling. There was a lot of great work that went on to kind of make it all flow, but anyone that wants to stop by, it's a little hard to see right now with all the snow, but but it flows really well. And that's that. We've got Consumer Energy. Every time they're going to come out to finalize our electrical, there's another storm. And then our guy gets pulled off for storm duty. It just happened. Phil and I went down to a meeting and they got pulled off again. So I think it's happened 4 times now. So that's coming along. It's not really hurting us, but that's going on. Same with the Detroit Edison for gas. They're coming out soon as well. So we're looking really good on budget wise and timing wise. And just we've had dozens of people go through the houses. They stop in and take them for tours, and everyone just kind of loves it. It's a really beautiful setting, looking out to the back for the just a natural setting, looking out to the front for the people, for just to kind of see the community, and then easy flow over to the center. So the senior housing is coming along just fine. On the site, we got all of our storm sewer in. We just have to put the final caps on the catch basins, but you always wait till you're right at final grade before you put the actual castings on. We've got our storm water detention basins built, and we've got our well located, the size situated, and we're ready basically to put a well in. That won't come till probably June-ish before we really decide to put that in there. And the septic, we've got one last component to being able to turn in our septic permit. And then we have to have all of our sinks, all of our water discharge points, and we're just finishing up the kitchen. And that's the final component to our application for the septic. So very close on that. And then we were able to get in the gravel for the parking lot, for the east parking lot. So we've got the main drive plus the parking lot. About half our gravel is in right now, but getting that gravel parking lot was really important so that when the steel shows up in the spring, that we've got a place to put it basically, in which would be the parking lot. So the site's all coming along. There's always been $1 million budget for the site, and we're just right there, for the remaining stuff, the remaining gravel, the remaining asphalt, the well, all those are site costs. And so that's been holding really strong. And then on the courts area, so the area that'll have the pickleball, the basketball, the volleyball, I kind of just call it the courts area, about 20,000 square feet. And that steel is set to arrive the first week of April. So you kind of work backwards that we need to have the footings in place for the steel to be built upon. And that puts us right in the last part of February, 1st of March to get that footings going. And then we're turning in our entire shelf building permit package on February 5th. So the following Monday coming up, we'll have the shell drawings from Nucor Fedcor. We'll have the shell drawings from our architect. We've already given them the soil borings exactly underneath the building. And then we'll give them our certified foundation drawings from JDH. So that's a pretty comprehensive package that'll go into the Alcona Building Department. They will forward those drawings on to the Alpena Regional guy, which is Don Hill. So that process is all lined up, and the goal is to get a shell building permit, which allows us to do the foundation, the steel, the siding, if you will, the skin of the building, the roof, and the glass. So we'll be, with that permit, we'll be able to make a watertight structure in the course area. Following that very quickly, and we're nearly finished, are the shell drawings for the balance of the building. And those are probably a couple, 3 weeks after that. So we'll supplement that shell permit with then the balance of the building. And then once you have your overall shell permit, then you go to your next phase, which would be the plumbing, mechanical, electrical. And Phil and I went down to Bay City, Michigan to meet with McMillan on last Friday. And it was a comprehensive meeting. We were there most of the day. And we just went through all the light fixtures, the lighting panels. We had to make a change on the location of the fire suppression pump. And there's a fire suppression pump has to have its own separate primary electrical service. So it'll be 2 transferred transformers. And so we located this fire pump proximate to the other electrical, just made it easier. That required a couple of little changes in the kitchen, what have you. But all of those, the heating and cooling, the plumbing, the electrical, and the fire suppression are all underway. So on any given drawing, they've got the rough layout done. So like, for instance, we were presented, here's the HVAC unit, here's where it's going, here's where the duct is, and all those are kind of in different levels of refinement. But that's a kind of a really this constant coordination with everybody, just making sure that, you know, there's not a curtain where you want to have a light, there's not a duct where you want to have a fire suppression. So that's a ongoing merging. On the kitchen, we have a final kitchen drawing from the kitchen engineer, and he is pricing it right now. And I'm anticipating everything's going to be fine, but before we have our meeting with the ACCOA, with everyone, Phil's going to coordinate that. I just want to make sure we're going to present a plan we can afford. So that we should have that information Thursday, and we're tentatively going to have a sit down with all interested parties on Friday. So that's where the kitchen is, and I think we're going to be real close. We just made a couple little changes this morning, but we'll get that. And so getting all of these things lead to the finishing of each drawing, right? So we have to know all the electrical loads in the kitchen for our electrical engineer to finish the electrical system, and all the way through heating and fire suppression and what have you. So that's going on. We're pricing the fitness equipment with 3 groups, all big ones. Precor is one, the other one is Life Fitness, and that also has Hammer Strength, and then the other one is Matrix. So each one's working on their own solution. I'm trying to give them latitude. They understand what we're trying to do, and we'll just see their equipment, their overall price, and what have you. And we don't need to order that stuff until probably June, but we need to have it figured out now, so our electrical engineer and people know our lighting, electrical, what have you, kind of know. So we really have to get most things figured out now, even if we don't need them. But there are things, for instance, like the bleachers, the floor in the courts area. There's a lot of really long leads, so we're coming up to those for the next couple of months. But the next really big one to buy is the steel for the rest of the structure. And so we're real close on our structural layout, a lot of peculiar kind of loads and what have you. You got to make sure you got enough for all your kitchen equipment. There's just a lot of structural considerations that are going on right now. So that's where we are, constantly bidding everything. To give you like a general example of how things flow on the glass, which is one of our bigger contracts, probably around 300,000 for the whole building. You know, it starts off with contacting probably 25 glass companies all around Michigan that are your big commercial groups, whittling that down to who will come up here, then getting down to, you know, who's got the manpower to do it on the schedule you want. And then kind of we're honing in around 300 grand as the overall price for the glass. So when I have someone that's at 900 grand, I kind of flush them, but just, they're too far out in left field. But we're down to still, we just had one guy back out, but we've got still 4 good companies. And then, they won't give us a final price until I give them final drawings. So, but it's a pre-bid process, and you learn a lot during that, and it's just, you get good people tell you, hey, you shrink that window by 6 inches over all this area, you can now get a cheaper thing of glass, so this 6 inches just save you 20 grand. And get a lot of those kind of feedbacks, and we're always working on that. We're gonna, this Friday, receive our final foundation drawings for the courts area, which will allow me to get final pricing. So we're working with 5 different large concrete companies that are gonna, that are capable of doing these gargantuan pier footings for these big beams. And then doing everything right. Really, you really have to know what you're doing. This is the big one. So anyhow, we'll have those prices back in probably about 10 days, and then that'll be another big healthy contract, foundation cost for that. And then that's kind of where we are, item by item, whether it's the HVAC, the hoops and the basketball, the tables and the eating area, office furniture is just constant bidding to everything you can dream of. And then as the building itself is really solidifying shape, size, floor plan, then the architect will kind of move to the next level of detail. So getting into doors, trims, all that kind of stuff. So that's where this morning just chatting with Dolores, and she was wondering if we could add a second, basically make the garage capable of servicing 2 trucks at the same time. And even at this stage of the game, it shouldn't be a big deal. So when I get back, I'm gonna try to make that happen. I think that should be fine. And that's pretty much where we are. Things are coming right along, and it's gonna get real busy. My goal is just to get as much done on the housing before the cranes show up. And when the crane starts swinging steel, that's when it really will take shape. You'll be amazed. It'll be sitting there, and then overnight, this building is there, so that's how it goes. But that's about all I have for today.
I have a couple of things, Andy. Alex from the health department was here last week. And he was stating that nothing was transferring from here. Everything, we're gonna have to apply for new licensing. And he's going to be sending me some paperwork that has to be filled out. And he suggested, like, you and I and Bill sit down together and fill it out. So it's like 15 pages. Once we submit it, there has to be the approval from the health department. If he has up to 30 days, and if we don't submit it properly and, we leave something off or whatever, because he needs drawings, everything, then he would come back to us and say, that's not right. He has another 30 days, which could hold things up. So he said, we really want to sit down together, fill it out. If there's questions, call him, talk to him before we submit it, so that we can get it submitted right the first time.
Yeah, and that is part of the contract with John Lowry. And so that's part of his responsibility to ultimately get the health department approval.
Okay.
So, yeah, so we will have to be engaged in that, but yeah, he has, there's people in his office that's all they do is get the health department approvals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I'll give you a quick example, just what we talked about. Never knew it before, but like Andy, been looking for bids and said, yeah. I said, what about bleachers? He said, yeah, it takes 7 months to get them. I mean, that's incredible, thinking that we have to wait 7 months from the time they're ordered to get bleachers. So
Yeah, it's a lot of, we've been, like, take bleachers, for instance, so we've probably been to 10 bleacher companies. You've got your kind of top 3 that supply most of your schools and most of your colleges. And then of those groups, there's a guy there, I think it's out of Wichita, and they're ready to go, right? So they're calling me, hey, but again, we're always making a little bit of changes. And so I just want to make sure before order. And very soon, we're gonna go out for our final pricing on bleachers. It's funny, because that is one of the next ones that we're gonna actually order because of the long lead. And again, it's important, right? Because you don't want too many, you don't wanna have a nice event, not have enough. And then trying to get even something remotely comfortable, right? And we've all spent time in the bleachers, everything hurts. And so you talk to them and yeah, they've got the ones that stretch out a little bit more, a couple more inches that do make a difference. So yeah, the bleachers are an ongoing one, but it is interesting, I kind of call this building the Swiss Army knife of buildings, right? Because like if I build a hotel, it's just a hotel. You get the room done and you get the front entrance done, and then there's 80 things that are exactly the like. But this is like amazing how many little pieces are all in this one building. And just on the basketball hoops alone, to get them to work, you have to have the exact bottom of steel, the exact flange you have to understand, and then having those slide out of the way and not hit anything, right? So you've got electrical, plumbing, you got your fire suppression, your HVAC, they move a certain way, and all that's got to be accounted for. And so, yeah, it's been really interesting. But I think we've got to make just a fantastic floor plan, and this is the time to really make sure everything that you can possibly think of works. And so we're putting a lot of effort into understanding how the key codes work, right? So obviously ACCOA, they're going to have their private offices, only they can get in there, probably be locked all the time. But then for someone that is doing X or Y and paying X or Y, well, where do they get to go to and when do they get to go there? So having that be really easy, and just like everything these days, I mean, Wendy's ultimately going to probably have an app on her phone. It'll be, all the so-and-so group wants in from 9 to 10, they're done. It's just that easy. That's where we're trying to take advantage of managing the complexity of the building with the new technology and kind of make it as easy as possible to manage. So, I forgot to put the so-and-so group on, I get a call, beep, 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 they're in. And so that's where we're going.
Okay. Any questions for Andy?
Thank you, Ann.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll get back to her. It's been a cold one over there.
Second man on the phone.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on. We have a NEMSA representative here. Caitlin, would you like to have a floor?
Intended for quiet too, so. We will be sending out ARP statement and grant awards. No, so we can
There you go.
better.
Yep.
Okay, we'll be sending out the ARP statement and grant awards. These are rollover funds from the previous year, and this is the last year that they will roll over, so they have to be spent this year. This fiscal year before the end of September. There's still a continuing resolution for the federal budget. So this means that we will still continue to receive only monthly statement and grant awards, or typically we receive them in quarters or 6 month increments. So we will continue to get them monthly, and we anticipate to see a change in the upcoming statement grant awards due to changes in the state funding formula. They've added in additional population factors that result in our region receiving a percentage of the overall funding available for the state. That would, we won't see that until later in the fiscal year, once the federal budget has been passed. But that is anticipated coming up. I'm here today to do the general and income service assessment for this fiscal year. I'm also doing a follow-up from last fiscal year when we were here in July, since we weren't able to give a compliance closeout letter. I'm doing a follow-up on that. And then we also have a financial training and a Region 9 AAA meeting for all the directors and financial staff coming up on March 4th in Gaylord. So looking forward to that.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you.
Thank you. Move on to Carolyn.
Thank you, sir. As you, can y'all hear me?
Lower button. Lower button. Yes.
I'm trying to each month bring you something that is hopefully some interest in the county that's going on. This unfortunately is not a pleasant thing I bring to you, but nonetheless, I think awareness is important for all of us. This is from the Children's Advocacy Center for Northern Michigan. It was, I passed this out before the meeting began. Children's Advocacy Center used to be over in the Alcona Health Center building here in Lincoln. It was moved a few years ago up to Alpena. It is in one of the buildings, if you all recall, as you face or as you go past the new My Michigan Hospital, there's an old brick building there, and that's where Children's Advocacy Center is housed. You can see, this is for 1 quarter, total of 35 children were served, 23 females, and I'm sorry, 25 females and 10 males. Ages 0 to 6, there were 10 children that, ages 7 to 12, there were 13, and 13 to 18, there were 12. The types of things that they see are sexual abuse, physical abuse, neglect, witnessing violence, drug endangered, others safety check and that type of thing, child sexual abusive material, domestic and family violence, and this is the first time this has been on the list, but teen dating victimization. Unfortunately, Alcona had 5 of those, 5 assaults, 5 victim situations for the last 3 months. You see, Alpena had 24, Montmorency 2, and Presskill 3, and Otsego had 1. We do, although we are primarily for the 4 counties mentioned, we also, if anyone needs it, through the state police or a local police department, it is open and available to them. It is a place where they can visit. I use the word visit because they hope that it is not an indoctrination or a harass. They don't want to be a typical interrogation that you would have with an adult, but an opportunity to talk to the child, law enforcement, talking to the child. They have 2 years, and so if I were to be a law enforcement person, and we'll say Dr. Turk was doing the interview with the child, I can speak to him and he will hear me through a system. And the child may mention the blue car or something. And we want to know more about that. So Dr. Turk, in his counseling and interview approach, would say, tell me more about that car. Tell me about it. What was it like? Were you in it? And it helps bring the story that the child has to tell us in as comfortable as possible a situation. They also have the capabilities of doing a physical exam there. Unfortunately, sometimes there is a need to do a physical exam on a young child. So, as I said, this is, I don't know why, but it really gets to me. And we have children who are being abused, and I don't care if they're in Alcona or where they are. We need to be aware of that. And the old adage that we hear, if you see something, say something. Don't ever be afraid. And you can call. It's far better to call and report a suspicion that you have than to let it go.
Okay,
That's good.
thank you.
Carolyn?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
As citizens, how can we be more involved in helping? I mean, is there something that we can do? How do we get involved to protect these children? Do you know?
I don't believe there really is, I don't think there really is, Pam. As I said, probably the biggest thing is if you see something, say something. The other thing that I do, and, you all know I would never stick my nose in anybody's business, but when I see a mother or a father, particularly a father, because they take a brunt of abuse sometimes. When you see them in the store and they're doing a really good job of parenting, I'll say to them, "You're a really good dad, or you're a really good mom." It lightens their day just a little. And, or if the child is very outgoing, I might say to them, "You've got a swell dad, haven't you?" That goes a long way. I think it reinforces to the father who's trying to be a good parent. Oh, I must have done something right at some point today. And they have, I'm sure.
And I have one more question.
It's a small thing. But, it's kind of like when I see a serviceman in uniform, I will go, unless they're talking or something, with some private conversation, but I will go up to them and I will offer to shake their hand and tell them thank you for their service. We don't do enough of that. I will also do it with policemen and firemen. But I don't believe we do enough. We've stopped appreciating. I guess I'm supposed to be quiet.
Trying to tell you something.
That's it.
Thank you.
I have one more question. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I haven't been to a commissioners meeting in a while. I was just wondering, they came out with the report on the Uvalde school shooting, and one of the things, the biggest thing was the active shooting, the lack of being trained. Do you have any idea if our police department is trained in active shooting?
To my knowledge, they are. How extensively, I can't answer that.
Okay, thank you.
We've actually.
That would be
reached
a
out to to
Sheriff
come here
Stevenson.
to do an active shooter, and they are brushed up on it, so we've been working with the sheriff's department to do a training here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, our next,
If I may, I would say they have had a lot of training that we are just not aware of.
Right.
It sometimes is amazing how much they have done. I will see what I can do to maybe find out a little more about what they've had and what some of the highlights. And if you would like, I'm sure Sheriff Stevenson would be happy to come and share some of that training so that you know what training they've had. Just for your peace of mind.
Thank you.
I want a different mic. Not really, not really.
Yeah, but unless they're trained, there's nothing around.
I'm quite sure he's probably trained.
okay, let's move on to executive director's report. Wendy?
When is that? Oh, thank you. Can you hear me though?
What is that, Friday?
What Carolyn did.
Wendy, your mic isn't on.
I know. Mine doesn't want to work. Doesn't want me talking either. Okay. So the first thing that I have is the budget is finally done. Yay. Patty and I worked really hard on this. So it's a little different than the big long sheet that rolled up that everybody looked at that was really hard to read. And what we did, with some help from Stevenson's and our financial reports that we have to turn into NEMSCA, we kind of follow the same suit as, what they do, what we have to do for NEMSCA, because that's where we're putting our money anyway. So we broke it down on an Excel spreadsheet, pretty much the same categories, and we kind of went from there. So this is basically, I've been putting it on here, and then I'm transferring it over to my NEMSCA spreadsheet. I don't know if anybody has any questions.
We have to approve
Okay.
this.
Look at them later.
And then we sold another vehicle, we sold Big Bird. He's gone down the road. One more. And then, I do have some new hires that we hired, I'm sure most of you know this, Robin is now our service coordinator. And we hired Megan Richter, who is at our front desk, and she's doing an awesome job. We hired another in-home direct care worker, I'm sorry, Rita Hartley. And a part-time kitchen helper, which that was Diane Jacobs. Cindy Morrison just started yesterday. She will be working with Christy, our RN, doing assessments. And then I've been interviewing this week for, it's an admin position to do the kitchen admin, paperwork. The next thing I had on here was the meals, and I did not see that it was approved to get the increase, but I looked at the notes and I see it on there, so sorry about that. And then last week on January 12th, Patty submitted our second upload of receipts to the state. Download, upload, whatever it may be. Patty and I are now preparing for our financial audit. And that will be taking place next week, January 29th to February 2nd. And then we had a craft day on December 7th and one on January 17th that went over very well. We had quite a few people here for those. And bingo is going wonderful, right, Dolores?
Yes, it is.
People are loving bingo, and we're doing that every other week. And one of my next project that I'm working on right now is in between everything else is getting our job descriptions updated and starting to work on a pay scale. I've been going through that list that Susan Cray had left. It was like 4 or 5 pages of suggestions back in March. And I would say I'm probably about 2/3 of the way finished, and that was one of the things on there. So this is I've kind of been taking things, her suggestions, and those are kind of like my side projects that I've been working on, so. And as Caitlin stated, we'll be working with her today to, for the in-home service assessment. So that's pretty much all I have.
You're welcome. Any questions for Wendy?
I don't have a question, but I would like to make a comment that the people that comes in for the meals, the ones that come in to play the card bingo, they've all commented very positive comments for Wendy, that she's very involved, very, personal. She comes out and talks to everybody and we all have fun with her and we can joke with her and everybody laughs. We just have a really good time. There's a lot of positive comments
Good.
for Wendy. So we appreciate you, Wendy.
Yes. Okay, there's nothing else. We'll move on to treasurer's report. Bob, did you like to do the treasurer's report?
Yeah, everyone should have the balance sheet. There should have been a sheet right behind Wendy's executive director that she recapped how many the home delivered meals there were and how many congregate meals.
Mhm.
And then right after that should be our balance sheet. Effective, that was December 31st that Patty put that together for us. If not, I have extra copies. Yeah. You get one, Phil?
I'm already looked at it. I'm good.
You got one? Oh, you got Bob? Just you wanna go over it or not?
If anybody wants me to, I'll go over it. She breaks our ACCOA working funds into checking at Huron, the investments, which is a CD at New York Life Securities. With the total there, and subtracting out of that is the Small Business Administration loan that we can talk about. We talked about that in the Finance Committee. We'll go over that later, that how they might want to dispose of that. And then they break it up into the new building project funds, how much is in AAA Credit Union cash, how much is in AAA Credit Union as a money market, and how much is in New York Life Securities. Also those are in CDs that are staggered to mature for when we talk to Andy, when he anticipates he's going to be needing that money. And then the total of the bottom line is how much expenditures have been put into the new building project thus far. So of the $6.25 million that we were granted, about 1.6 million has been spent. And we have about 4.87 million remaining. If you add those two bottom numbers together, that's more than $6.25 million. That's what we've made on the CDs, that the money has been, while until Andy uses it, it's working for us, so.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions?
Do we need to, Carolyn, do we need to approve that subject to audit?
It's not so much an approval as a receipt from the treasurer.
Do we need a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
I make a motion for the treasurer report.
Subject to audit. Any second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Secretary's report.
Mainly that I've been working with Megan, who's been more than helpful. She drew up the new list of the board members, which is updated with Mike's contact information in there. There was corrections that need to be made, the new committee assignments. And we've been working together trying to get the website errors and omissions removed from that. She's obviously, Wendy and her team are putting the new logo on everything, including our placards. So no secretary such correspondence, just working on little things like that.
Okay. Committee report, finance and budget.
I don't have anything. Do you have anything, Dr. Drew?
I placed it a little bit differently. The secretary, I guess this should be the time that we should ratify all the executive committee actions. So that's why I put that in there. So there were several of them. This was kind of a busy, since it's been 2 months, so I'll just go ahead and I'll phrase it in the form of a motion. There should be 5 of them, and if you don't have 5 or 6, I'll phrase it as a motion. I'm going to move that the board ratify the executive committee action of December 13th that says exactly, therefore, the ACCOA Executive Committee via unanimous vote authorizes the removal of Denise Trelfa from accounts held at AAA Credit Union and authorizes the addition of Phil Potter to ACCOA financial accounts held at AAA Credit Union, Huron Community Bank, and New York Life Securities.
You need a second on that?
Second.
All approved? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Being that has to deal with money, we probably should do a roll call vote on that, or just for the,
I wouldn't say if we're not expending.
oh, no, we're not spending nothing, okay.
The,
Motion
the
carried.
next one, hopefully you have it as December 27th. I'll phrase the motion. I would move that the board ratify the executive committee action of December 27th, which states exactly, therefore, the ACCOA Executive Committee via unanimous vote authorizes President Phil Potter to, on behalf of the board, sign the necessary contracts to execute the land contract sale of the Harrisville land parcels owned by the ACCOA.
Have a second on that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. The next one, I'm going to move that the board ratify the executive committee action of December 27th that says exactly, therefore, the ACCOA Executive Committee by unanimous vote authorizes the removal of Denise Trelfa from the AAA Credit Union Visa account.
I'll second. Whoops.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Next one, also dated December 27th, I'm going to move that the board ratify the executive committee action of December 27th, which says exactly, therefore, the ACCOA Executive Committee via unanimous vote authorizes President Phil Potter to, on behalf of the board, sign the necessary contracts with Banner Realty Alpena to list for the term of 3 months the Lincoln Senior Center property for sale. And I'm going to clarify that it probably would have been more correct if I had just put it with Phil to do it, whoever the building committee authorized to do it. We can do it right now to change, do a new motion that whoever the committee decides to use. But at that time, it looked like maybe it was going to be Banner, so it never got used, but we did do this
The
executive.
reason it didn't get used, if I can interject, is that, her husband died. He passed away, and under the gracious, I was just trying to be compassionate. I didn't reach out to her. I didn't call her. I wanted her to, have her own time to go through that. But she has reached out to me just the other day and asked me if I still wanted her to put a form together, and I told her yes. And the reason why I didn't reach out to her, she really appreciated us not calling and finding out what the deal was, but
I think if the building committee decides to go with somebody else, they can do that, but this was just kind of a last minute, making sure that you had the authorization.
so she has reached out, and I told her yes, go ahead and write us up a thing to see what it's worth and do a proposal. So we have a motion. We have a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Next one, January 15th, I'm going to move that the board ratify the executive committee action of January 15th, which states exactly, therefore, the ACCO Executive Committee by unanimous vote authorizes the removal of Stan Weinar from ACCOA accounts held at Huron Community Bank, AAA Credit Union, and New York Life Securities.
Second.
Second by Pam. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the last one, I am going to move that the board ratify the executive committee action of January 18th, 2024, which states exactly, therefore, the ACCOA Executive Committee, acting upon the unanimous recommendation of the nominating committee, appoint Mike Shepanowski to the ACCOA Board of Directors.
I'll second.
All in favor, Ed and Mike?
I,
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries.
So then, now I have the committee reports. There should be 3 reports from the Finance Committee. 12/6, 12/13, 2023, and January 15th. Just to summarize, the first one discussed the budget process. We discussed the reinvestment of the MEDC building funds, as well as some of the ACCOA reserve funds, which CDs to put those into. Needed to discuss and assign an authorized person to interact with financial advisors and accounts, and the results of the motions that were there. The next one on 12/13, we met with Kevin Friddle, the New York Life Securities ACCOA advisor on some of these issues. Discussed the allotment of ACCOA reserves into various categories for the reserve status, and we discuss the status of the outstanding $150,000 Small Business Association loan. And the result with the movement, the motions that we did, we moved some of the money at the building fund into a very short, ultra short, high yield fund that can be liquidated all or in part at any time with no penalty. And then we authorized number 4 on December 13th, authorized that Wendy and her staff to pay off the SBA loan, provided there's not some sort of prepayment penalty. So those were our motions, those were our recommendations to the board. And then the one in January 15th is where we were presented with the actual budget, where we, as the Finance Committee, motioned and approved the budget, and to make the recommendation that the budget be adopted by the entire board.
Thank you. You all were busy.
Say, we've been busy. Okay,
do we need a motion to accept these 3 things?
Individual motions on going backwards, which I don't mean to be, but, on the January 15th one, they recommend the budget be adopted by the entire board. That would be one of the ones that I believe would certainly require a board action, full board.
I think we can do that now or under the new business portion. I put that under the new business portion of the agenda, but it can be done whenever you think.
That does it. That covers it. It's down under new business.
Yeah.
I
under new business.
I forgot it was there.
Okay. Or do we have, that was building and planning too?
I don't,
No.
I
we
didn't
have
know if
nothing on
anybody
that.
wanted to speak on that. I didn't
On
get
the
any.
building and planning, we just had Andy, talk about what the new buildings and the planning, what we were planning on doing and policies and programs, so,
Policies and programs, I could say we're gonna address it in the new business, the revising the mission and the vision statement, and then going over the bylaws, the new
Correct.
bylaws.
correct. Yep. All right, so we'll move on to finish business. Sale of the Lincoln Senior Center. I haven't had no proposals presented to me. I did have one that, Lisa had earlier. She wanted to have, individual come in and look at the building. She took pictures of it. Figured out it wouldn't be peaceful.
I can talk in public comment if you'd like.
Okay,
Mention that in public comment.
Okay. Yep, that'd be fine. All right.
Unless you want me to do it now, but I hate to do it in the middle of the meeting.
Good.
Up to you.
We do have an issue on sale of the property in Harrisville. Been in touch with 45 North, who is our agent. And we were hoping to have it finalized today, but we ran into a slight snag. We need a motion. She wanted everything, the title company wanted everything wrote down for the amount of what we're getting, the deposit, the amount of payments for 3 years, 5 months at 9% interest. We had to have a motion made by the board to sell the property over in Harrisville for $13,000 with a $2,500 down payment for 3 years, 5 months at $298.44. At the annual of interest rate would be 9%. It wasn't down that I was authorized to sell it personally, so as president of the board, we need a motion that would authorize me to sign that land contract with the buyer and North 45.
I'll make that motion that we allow Phil to sign the contract for the property in Harrisville.
I second.
Any discussion? We did add in there that the property taxes had to be paid on time and that the ACCOA would receive a copy of the property taxes, and we've also added in there, there'd be a $25 late payment after 5 days and a $50 late payment after that. We also added in there that we would set up an account with ACC or with Elkhorn Area Credit Union to the payments would go directly to them, and that would keep a total of the property and all payments on time. So that would be the restrictions on the sale, but so we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
It's money.
Yep. Oh, yeah, it's probably, yeah, we should do a roll call vote, I guess, because it is money. I missed that. Yes, thanks, Doris. Roll call vote, please.
Lynch,
Yes.
McKinnon,
Yes.
Turek, yes. Bachhorst,
Yes.
Schlicker,
Yes,
Potter.
Yes. Motion carried.
Carolyn wants.
Oh, Carolyn?
I'm sorry, but President Potter, I do recommend that on the Finance Committee report of 12/13/23, item 4, I believe, should have the full board motion and vote. Roll call vote at that.
On 12/13?
Right, number 4.
So I'll read that. That was a motion by Bob, second by Rollin to pay off the SBA loan, provided there's not some sort of prepayment penalty. In favor, Dolores, Bob, Rollin, with Phil also voting yes to make the entire executive committee in favor as well. None opposed.
So I guess we need a motion to accept that,
I will make the motion to accept that,
May I suggest that your
Okay.
motion be to pay off the loan?
yes.
Yeah.
The motion would be to pay off the small business loan, provided there's no penalty.
Second.
Do we need a roll call?
Yes.
It's money, so sure.
and we're selling one, or we're paying it off, so you get a roll call vote. Roll call vote.
Bachhorst,
Yes.
Turek, yes. Schlicker,
Yes,
Potter,
Yes.
McKinnon,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
So then, the title company also said that they would like a resolution stating that the motion has been made and that, the board has approved me to sell it. And it has to be by someone other than the one who made the motion for the.
So a separate thing. One, that we made a motion to accept these terms,
Yep,
and number
then
two,
a resolution. That's,
so I will make I will move that the board authorizes Phil Potter to proceed with the liquidation of the land, the liquidation of the Alcona Commission on Aging owned properties in Harrisville.
Second.
All approved, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. So as soon as I can get that in, and a copy of that, I have to take it to the title company and then we'll move forward, but hopefully by Friday or early next week, we will have, we won't own the property no more, we'll have a land contract on it, so
Thank you.
that'll be something off our backs. Okay. New business.
I will speak on that. The county commissioners at their January 3rd meeting, our agreement with the commissioners in the county every year that we sign to have them administrate the millage funds. In the contract, it's written that it can be extended just via a motion. They did that. They extended the agreement. So all we need to do is just move to extend the agreement that we signed previously last year and just extend it out for another year.
We need a motion to extend our agreement with the county for another year.
That's sufficient.
1/24 to December 31st, 24.
December 31st of 2024. Okay.
Roland need a motion.
Make a motion to extend the millage for another year.
The agreement with the county. December 2024. December 31st. Okay. Second,
I'll second that.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Now we have the 2023-2024 budget in front of us that we need to approve or deny, one or the other.
I would make a motion that the entire board accepts the 2023-24 fiscal year budget that's been submitted by Wendy and which was following the recommendation made by the finance committee.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Lynch,
Yes.
McKinnon,
Yes.
Potter,
Yes,
Schlicker,
Yes,
Turek, yes, Bachhorst.
Yes.
motion carried.
And if I may, sir, include in that motion your dollar figure of the total budget. The 1 million, whatever. 1,000,008,
198.
I'm sorry, 120.
Mhm.
It's like, no, 1,086,047. But we have a different figure, didn't we, at the end?
Mission and vision statement approval. Or no, we got bylaws. I'm sorry, new bylaw approval.
So hopefully you have all gotten the lawyer drew up, our legal counsel drew up a new bylaws. And hopefully you've all had a chance to kind of look at that. Some corrections need to be made, mainly typographical errors were done. Carolyn came up with some other things that probably need to be done, but they don't affect the overall document. I think she feels comfortable that if everybody agreed that we could adopt these bylaws. And then the next step would be to advertise at least for 14 days to all the participating members that there will be a vote to approve those. And speaking to Wendy and her staff, they could do that by the February 14th, maybe it's February or 13th or 14th. You have a big Valentine's Day dinner, something like that. So if if it's advertised, either in written form and on emails or on a website, that the participating members can vote at that meeting to approve it. That's the step that was never done, and that's why the bylaws that were done in 2022, they were never ratified. So that's why we've been using the 2018 bylaws. They have to be approved by the participating membership. It's just a majority of the participating members that show up at that time. So if there's 100 participating members, but only 10 show up, all it needs to be is, 6 people who vote for that. And I can summarize some of the main changes that have been made in that. I mean, number one, he specified that, again, that ACCOA is serving seniors and puts a specific definition of seniors as those individuals 60 or above. Added a lot of different things, but it's really not that much different than what it was. It's about 5 pages longer than 2018 and 2022, and here again, he recommends, even though it's in the bylaws, that a person such as myself can hold the position of secretary and treasurer. He doesn't recommend that. In a separate email, he recommends that be separate so that the executive committee is made up of 4 members rather than 3. And but other than that, I just think it's such a vast improvement. It'll be so good to have that actually approved by the participating members, and hopefully it won't need to be altered for a long, long time.
I did have a couple of comments. Nothing huge. I can go over with you later, if you like.
No, I think you should do it now.
Okay, well, for some reason, they decided that, on page 3, and then again on page 4, to point out that all directors serve without compensation, which is, valid, but why'd they have to say it twice?
And I don't know if you have the most updated one also. It's possible, but
That was what you sent me, and I printed out. If Carol, you're our member at large. Director could be removed by a 2/3 vote, but cannot be removed by a committee. Okay. And there was confusing language, I thought, on page 11. Back here, talking about Article 12, books and records. The last paragraph, a director or officer is not entitled to rely on the information set forth above if they have knowledge concerning the matter in question that makes reliance otherwise permitted unworked. That sounds like burgle. I'm sorry, what are we trying to say here? So that was the nature of it. It's not, I don't think any of it's poison pill, but it's confusing language.
yeah, I would say that just seemed like legalese to me.
Legal. That's our legal.
Chairman, can you use your microphone, please? They can't hear what you're saying.
No, I'm not sure I can.
Yeah, no, you're on.
Would you like me to repeat?
Just summarize.
Okay, well,
I would say that's probably an example of why it went from increased in length. Word verbiage like that, and a paragraph that we would put like this, an attorney might make 4 times as long to cover all angles.
just sometimes turns into word salad is my concern. But again, I don't think any of it's kills it, so ignore that and go on.
Bob, I have a question. So that would be handed out to, like, at a congregate meal, they would read it. Is there some place they have to sign, or do I give them like a sign-in sheet to?
I just think at whatever date we set for the participating members to ratify it, let's say it's February 13th or 14th at the meal. Yeah, they'd have access. If we approve this today, the lawyer said he will make a draft copy that he would give Megan or whoever to distribute to whoever wants it, any participating member or otherwise. It's a draft until it's been approved. And then there's just a simple vote held on that time. We just need to advertise it for at least 14 days for anybody who's a participating member to vote on whether we approve these new bylaws.
So this would be given on like a Monday, and they have till the following Monday to take it home and read it?
I would think, yeah, as soon as he gets me, if we approve this today, he said he would give us, a form. And it might be this exact document. I don't know if it needs to be, he just said he would give us something that we could distribute to, that Megan could have at the front desk and to give to anybody who might want to see it.
And then they're gonna vote yes or no to.
Yeah, and it really, there isn't a whole lot of change in it that from previously, just clarified a lot of things and strengthened certain things. If you compare it to the 2018 or even the 2022 bylaws, it's just more, he just made it stronger on a lot of things. That's how I look at it from my non-legal viewpoint.
But congregate meal people has never seen this. We've never asked the congregate meal people to approve this.
That's why,
So
that's why we've been working under a bylaws that never has been approved that's supposed to. So once that's done, Megan or whoever's at the front desk will have, anybody who wants our bylaws, we'll have them. Plus we'll have them on the website. We'll have a document portion on our website that any of our documents, anybody can see at any time. There hasn't been any sense to do it till now because we had a bylaws that wasn't really a bylaws. So, but
I could be wrong on it, but before when I was on the board before, as far as I know, we never had the bylaws read or anything by the congregate meals or anybody else. It was just the board.
right,
And then all of a sudden, it's supposed to be confidentiality as far as the board goes in that. But everybody else reads it, which the difference in our confidentiality, there isn't any.
Our bylaws aren't confidential. It's our standards that we operate by.
Yeah, but why would congregate people read it? They're not on the board. No, I think
It's open to public information. Our bylaws are public information too. I mean, we don't have anything that we're hiding.
okay.
yeah, so the problem is, one of the things he changed is our 2018 bylaws had specific policies or procedures that had to be followed to amend them. So they amended them in 2022, but they didn't follow the procedures to get them ratified. And so they never were valid. Our legal counsel, speaking to our previous legal counsel, they came to the conclusion that we had to use the 2018 bylaws because the 2022 were never ratified. So that will take care of that. Plus, he made it so that for the future, if it does need to be changed, it's not quite as difficult as it is this time. So
Okay.
hopefully it won't come up again in our time.
What we need is a motion to
accept the bylaws,
accept the bylaws.
I'll make a
as
motion to-
written.
to accept the bylaws as written in the draft.
Second.
I'm gonna say that there are a few, when we say specifically as written, there are a few minor things that are gonna, like a few typographical errors that I'd like the motion to say that I can make those corrections that Carolyn has come up with. So it's not quite correct to say as written. There'll be a few slight changes.
Okay, with amendments or, okay.
We have a motion on the floor and a second to accept the bylaws, the changes that need to be made. So all in favor,
I,
Aye.
opposed? Carried. Yes. Commission statement.
So the last portion, it should be in the very, very back of your packet. Our current, right now, we have three different things. We have a mission statement, we have a vision statement, we have an action statement. And it seems pretty confusing how that is, and I don't know that they really meet what we're trying to do. So I put the first page, I put what the current is. And then the second page, basically just how we change, and this is just one man's opinion, how to strengthen them or combine them. And then the third page is what I would propose to kind of do a sole mission statement that does away with the vision and action statement, but kind of integrates some of those things. So the final page where it says proposed puts in a mission statement that replaces the mission, action, and vision statement that currently exists.
Great idea.
And Wendy has noticed this before, and we spoke to Wendy, and she has given her blessing for this. I think that
Yeah,
So
I
what-
like it. I like it. It's more,
I do too.
Says what it is and it's
Yeah.
simpler.
yep. And it's, the other one had not one word about a senior in it, all three of them. Never said senior.
Sometimes simple is better.
I'm aging.
Me too.
So do we need a motion to accept the proposed mission statement?
I would propose we have a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the new mission statement that says to promote dignity, independence, and well-being to the senior population of Alcona County by initiating and coordinating programs that anticipate and meet the ever-changing needs of our senior community. I like that.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
aye.
Pass. Okay, we'll move on to public comment. Again, limited to 2 minutes per person.
Judy French, Harrisville. Oh, I had a question. I don't know if you can answer me, but I do have a question about the bylaws update and the fact of the members voting on it. Are you going to make sure that like your in-home people, home delivered meal people can get a copy and have a way to vote on that? Cause like that's a huge part of your members, or those people. Probably more so than, you know, the handful that come in and eat. So, think about how you're gonna do that. I love the new mission statement and I want a copy of it. I love it. I really love it. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Lisa Turek, Harrisville Township. I too love the mission statement. I think it really encompasses everything. It's simple and concise and great job, whoever wrote it. One quick thing, I know that I had sent a letter to you guys about, wanting to use the building as a private Christian kindergarten through third grade learning center that I'm starting. We're gonna be opening in September. So I thought this might be a great, building for it because it was a school in the 40s. However, I've been in contact with a friend of a friend who's an architect who is schooled in K through 12 codes for schools. And that's what she does, is helps people rehab buildings for schools. So I sent her about 80 pictures of the building, told her what our plan was. If we couldn't use the whole thing, maybe just one level. But according to her, and she said, you know, I don't want to burst your bubble, but just looking at your pictures, about $150,000. And that includes upgrading the wiring, you know, if for some reason we only use one floor, it'd have to be a firewall in between the bottom floor. The stairs are an issue, you know, they basically want an elevator in here. And, so it looks like it's not going to be an option for us to, be able to either purchase this or, you know, make it into a school. So I just to let you know that that's gonna be way over our budget, starting out 150 grand to do that. So, that was it, just the update that Bill had asked for. So, okay.
Great. Thank you. Anybody else? You know?
Abby Thomas, Harrisville Township. I just wanted to ask a couple questions primarily of the board. Will the budget printout be available for the members, the voting members, the people that are participants here? Will that be available in Wendy's office or if anybody wanted to look at the line items on the budget? Also, I'm wondering if there are any restrictions on weapons coming into this building. The question was raised at the county commission meeting. I know if you go into the county building, if you go into churches, schools, there are places where there are restrictions on carrying weapons in, and I don't know if that's the case here or if it's publicized in any way. And then the other question would, because Caitlin is here today, I was following up on what Carolyn said about if you see something, say something. I assume that all the in-home care workers that are working for the agency would have the requirement as mandatory reporter. If they see something that they suspect is abuse or neglect, that those workers would be required to report at least to their supervisor and then take on whether or not it was something that needed to be further addressed. Questions that I assume there are good answers to. Thank you.
Thank you. We have any other requests from visitors? Okay, we'll close the.
Did you want to say anything about the trucks? Meals on Wheels?
That would be under director's additional comments.
Okay.
Yep. Public comments closed. We'll move on to director's additional comments and concerns.
I didn't know if Kim had anything. She went to a NEPSCA meeting yesterday. I know she was having a little
Caitlin was
issue
also
with.
there, so
Oh.
what she said is the same thing. There's a few things that I wanted to bring up just because I know they've been talked about and they affect us directly. One was, there was a question about tax preparation assistance. And that is not being handled through NEMSCA or by them this year, but they hope to look into that to develop something for, you know, free tax assistance in the future. Everywhere you look, it says call 211, which is an informational number to find out where free services are. And also AARP apparently has a few sites set up, none of which are in Alcona County that we know of, but would be nearby. So that's that. Project Fresh is gonna be back again and they are updating the system so it's a little bit automated. So that will be helpful in the spring when we get into that season. There's a lot of one of the things, I had the bad news, good news, you shared the bad news about the funding, that we can anticipate funding to go down at least 1%, once the federal budget is solidified. One new thing is that the ACLS, is providing, I don't know if it's a grant or just in funding for centers who have adult daycare services. So we don't currently, but hopefully in the future, you know, that could be something that we incorporate in the new building. But for those COAs who have it, there's up to $3,000 available per person to help fund so people can get breast good care and have their
their people, come to one of the centers to be able to have that time. There are some other dates for trainings, both for, administrative people here as well as the kitchen staff and the DCWs, and you'll get that calendar. The only other thing is to encourage people to continue to, if they have not, reaching out to senators, governors, legislatures, to keep in mind that, the senior community and all the organizations that support them is still underfunded. So
Okay,
that's it.
thank you.
Thinking about the
Go ahead.
There was a form that was handed out in person. I had a list of, by county, that tax preparation for seniors.
I'll try to get up to that.
Yeah, I can send it to Wendy or someone too, so that can be distributed.
And then I guess the other thing Ron had mentioned about, the food, we're looking into a new, food truck or home delivered meals truck. Speaking with Caitlin previously, we do have some ARP funds left, so, and it could be less than what we think maybe now, it sounds like. But I do have to gather some information together, and fill out an application, send it to them to see if we can get the remaining funds we have available to go toward a new vehicle. So right now with our audit next week, Patty and I have really been focusing on that. So after that, I'll start working on the truck and that stuff. I know Phil and Rollin have went and visited a couple places, and so we kind of have a price range and everything. We just have to move forward and get some paperwork into that stuff to see if we can get approved for any funding to pay toward the vehicle. We got 3 of them and they're all kind of nickeling and diming us now, so. And I don't have anything else.
On the truck issue, I will tell you that I talked to the guys that make the trucks and they said you can put a new box, you have to buy a brand new food box. You can put a new box on an older vehicle, but you cannot put a new vehicle under the old box because they change the framework every year. So he said the only way to do that is, he said, you're better off to purchase the truck and the box together than to try to Mickey Mouse it. So I said, okay. He said, but you cannot put a used box, like our food boxes, we cannot put on a new truck. If we get a truck, we have to have a used truck, and we have to have a new box. So he said, you're better off to go with a brand new truck and a new box, and then you'll have the warranty, the factory warranties, and you shouldn't have to, they won't nickel and dime you to death. I said, okay. So yeah, we've done with that. Well,
And, the other truck, still got repair, and we can take it and put a new motor in that. And it breaks and other stuff, it's just like brand new, be cheaper than trying to buy 2 new trucks.
so that's what we have on that. Is there any other directors, additional comments or concerns?
I would like to vote on accepting Michael Stepanowski as a board member. He sent in his intent letter, and in my opinion, he would do very, very well. He's very qualified. Dr. Turk, you talked to him too. What's your opinion?
Well, so Dolores, Pam and I are the nominating committee. We all spoke and said, absolutely, he should be part of the board. And then so Phil, me and Dolores, all 3 of us as the executive committee said, yes, he should be on the board. So we ratified that decision. Now, if we want to take it one step further and make another vote, but we've ratified that earlier in the meeting unless I missed it.
Okay, so
So he's
he
on,
is a board member.
he was on the board member. Yeah, he is on the board member. He's just couldn't attend today.
Okay. And then you'll get him on a couple of committees or whatever.
Once he gets here and find out, yeah, we'll get in touch with him. Okay, if there's
That's all
no
I
other-
have.
There's no other, business, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion or meeting is adjourned.
Next. February 27th.
Yes, the next meeting is, February 27th, 10 o'clock.